One day the fruit snacks kept going missing. And I was about 7 years old, about first grade. And I was putting them in my backpack, the whole box, because I had asked her to buy them. And I was selling them at recess for 25 cents a pack.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we will be discussing the struggles and lessons learned along the journey of a seven-figure entrepreneur. It's my great pleasure to welcome our guest today, Rachel Sadina. I apologize, Rachel. I just said your name wrong. How do you say your last name?
Theta.
Seda. Rachel Seda. Rachel, thank you for joining us on our podcast today. Rachel is the owner of Mixed Shine Marketing, and we're grateful to have her on the show today. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Rachel, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, please share with us your story. Where did you start from? Where have you gotten to? Maybe share a few key lessons learned along the way, but ultimately we want to hear your journey as an entrepreneur.
Great. Well, thanks, John. And thanks for having me. I actually ironically never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. It's not something that I was like, oh, I want to own a business one day. But if I look back as a child, I had two really hardworking parents that kind of came from nothing and built kind of their own successes in their own ways. And my mom tells the story of how one day the fruit snacks kept going missing. And I was about 7 years old, about first grade. And I was putting them in my backpack, the whole box, because I had asked her to buy them. And I was selling them at recess for 25 cents a pack. And so I would sell them out in a day, and then we needed more. And she's like, where are the fruit snacks? And so she finally realized I was selling them at school. I don't know if the teacher told her or she figured it out. And she goes, okay, well, that's great, but you're not making enough of a margin because you're only selling for 25 cents and the box costs whatever it costs. And I was like, huh? She's like, you're not really making money. I thought I was making money because I didn't pay for the box of fruit snacks.
Right.
So if I look back, that's probably how it started. My mom watched Oprah like religiously, like many people's mothers did. And I had a love for interviewing people and just kind of like that talk show environment. So I had thought that that's what I wanted to do. I was going to be a broadcast journalist and eventually have my own talk show. I used to use my mom's chairs and set them up in the house and like interview people. So I was pretty sure that's what I wanted to do. But again, I had two really hardworking parents. It was always like, have a job. I was babysitting at like 10, 11 years old, always trying to make money, selling like artwork, doing all the things. I liked the working hard and seeing the results, whether that was on a sports field, in the classroom, or working and actually making real money. So as I got to college, I did marketing, communications, digital broadcast journalism. I kind of started to think, like, as I learned more about the broadcast journalism field, I don't know if this type of cutthroat environment is really what I really was out for. I also think like the news you have to deliver is a hard thing. And I thought, how can I use kind of what I've learned in video and marketing and communications to do something else? So I went on to work at a few nonprofits and associations in DC, working on the UN Refugee Agency. They had a big campaign called the Blue Key campaign that we worked on, Oxfam America, and got a lot of really good experience and decided to then go work at an agency. So that's probably one of the best things I did because you learn it all. And you work on all different clients. You understand the budgets. You do the invoicing. You're sitting in new business pitches. And I loved that agency and their original philosophy, and that the CEO or the former CEO is a mentor of mine to this day. But I was young, 26-year-old, and I thought they were going through an acquisition. And actually they were getting acquired. And that agency was kind of going a different direction. So what I really loved was that when I came in, I was really the social media like expertise per se. Like they were kind of behind in that. And so I would get pulled into all these campaigns to help with social media. And the agency that came in and was buying them was really PR focused. And it was really like, go do this media hit, and you'd ask why. And it's like, doesn't matter. That's what the client wants. And I was like, well, the clients that we're working on right now, where I think we were really award-winning work, but also really like moving the needle. We were really working with them as an extension of their team. And instead of saying, I want to be on the Today Show, we asked, well, why? And really understanding their goals and working backwards from that and leveraging social media and digital campaigns that's where we really saw a difference. And that's what I saw was working with the clients that I got kind of almost full autonomy on. So
Gotcha.
as I kind of saw that not being an option anymore, and to be fair, also the last 3 years, we had me and another gal that I was working with, we had just worked our butts off, and kind of to like burning the midnight oil, as my old boss would say, an unhealthy work that hard. And as the
Right.
acquisition happened, it was like, well, we're holding on like any promotions or anything like that, and I was like, man, I don't know that I'm ever going to work as hard as I just did the last 2 years. Like, I just don't think I have it in me. So I said, well, I'm going to go advocate for myself. Because another thing my mom always taught me was, as women, we make less, but we also don't ask. So we also have to advocate for ourselves. And so I went in and I said, okay, well, I saw the raise, and essentially it was like noted for like subpar performance percentage. And I said, here's all that I've done. Here's the awards we've won. Here's what's happened. And of course, it was because of the acquisition that there was a hold. I did get more, but it wasn't even about the money at that point. It was really about like, this is not really what I want to do.
Right.
So yeah, I got margaritas with a coworker, and there's nothing like a little tequila to make you think, all right, let's add up the hours you worked, what you did, and then you thought, as a young 26-year-old, like I could probably do this myself. Kind of maybe a little bit arrogant if I look back, but I thought, I wasn't really ever a big risk taker. I wouldn't call myself a risk taker. And in that moment, I was married now, or had just gotten married. So I had things like health benefits, the things that you worry about. And I
Right.
thought, well, I've worked for 7 years. If I needed to go back to a job, I could just go back. I could find a job. And I just kind of felt like it was either now or never in that moment. I kind of felt it click. And I remember the next day I shared that with a coworker, and we walked in over coffee. She goes, like, were you serious? I said, I'm dead serious. So she ended up coming with me. And I had worked for a digital marketer that did a lot of online campaigns and stuff solo, but worked with her. So I kind of knew how to set it up. And she had a bunch of clients that she's like, you can come on and work on my clients straight out the door. Because, of course, leaving the agency, we couldn't like tout any of the work we did there. So you're
Right.
really starting from scratch. So I left knowing that she had work for us. And I just thought, again, it's now or never. I wanted to have kids. I also saw that the team members that were working there were like, there till 7 at night, not picking up their kids, not being able to go to the soccer practice. And I was like, I don't really know I don't know why. I didn't see the point in it, because in what we do, we can work anywhere. People are online at night. And so my boss was like, she begged me to stay, and she was like, just give me 6 more months, or, offered every promotion in the book. And I'm like, I don't
Right.
have 6 more months. Like, I've got to know that this works. And so, yeah, so I took that leap, and that was 10, it'll be 11 years ago in July officially.
Wow.
Um, and kind of really honestly never looked back. But at first, it really was a lifestyle business. Like, I left because I was getting burnt out. I did really feel like I was really invested in social media. It's really what I started my career on, and I saw the difference it made for small, medium, big businesses. And so I really wanted to really hone in on that, because I felt like a lot of agencies weren't doing that well, and people weren't really understanding how to use it. But really, it was a lifestyle business. I wanted to have kids. I didn't want to work 70-hour weeks, and I wanted to see, could I do this on my own?
There you go.
But you know what I learned at the agency, and what I learned from working with that digital consultant, was kind of how to do it, honestly. And so I have a lot of respect and admiration for all that they taught me as well. Um, and so it really went from there. And again, it was a lifestyle business until I had my second kid, and we had contractors that worked with us. My sister was actually a contractor at Some moments she was the contractor. At some moments she was the nanny taking care of a baby downstairs. So
There
it
you
depends
go.
on what we needed her to do. And she still works for the company to this day, actually. Um, but yeah, so it was a lifestyle business until I had my second kid. And then for whatever it was, I realized I was done having kids. And I thought, like, I'm still working just as hard. So what am I building? Like, what am I leaving them? What is the legacy I'm creating? Because as essentially a freelance business, there's nothing to sell and there's nothing to leave behind. And yeah, great. I was giving other women like a contracting position and letting them have maybe a kind of a flexible career or make money while doing whatever it is they went to do, travel, have kids, what have you. But I didn't feel like it was meaningful enough. So in that moment, I realized that I am building an agency. I'm building a business, and it's time to put the train on the tracks and really do it. And that's really what I did. And my son is 6, just turned 6. So it really was about 6 years ago that I was like, all right, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to do it and I'm going to leave something behind and then make it more meaningful. And I think a lot of the things that kept me from that was fear. Like I remember thinking like, I had contractors, but like at any point, if the work goes away, it's not a big deal. You don't have to let people go. You don't have to figure out hiring them full time and offering benefits. Can I afford that? And that was a lot of like scary things. So I had a lot of really awesome mentors and fellow business owners that had gone through that. They were willing to help me kind of figure out how to do that. Because I did also realize that at that point we had gotten the business to like 400, 500,000 at the most and a year. And my old CEO, who is a mentor to me, said like, I really don't think you go beyond that without hiring full time and really scaling this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we hired our first full time person in 2021. We had a little bit of a hiccup with COVID, so that was before that. So my son was about 2 when COVID hit, or maybe 1.5. Anyway, so I did a lot of soul searching, thinking, is this really what I wanted to do? And I was like, yes, it is. Hired our first full time person in 2021, and really just grew from there. So really, when I think about like the fuel to the fire, it was really like 2020, 2021 that it was the biggest shift for me. In 2018, I knew I needed to do, and I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew I needed to figure out how to do it. But it was really right after, or I guess not after COVID, but right around the height of COVID, after that settled down,
Yeah.
um, that I also realized I needed to surround myself with people that were stronger in areas that I wasn't. So I brought in a fractional CFO who really helped, understand like what is it that we need in the team, how do we need to structure things, understanding and really putting the train on the track, moving a bit faster. Of like, all right, if that's what you want to build, because you want to at least be sellable one day, whether you sell or not, this is the things we need to do. So now we have a team of 10 in house. And then we just recently acquired a paid media agency that's international. So they're a virtual international team. But that adds to our team to be, it pretty much doubles the size of our
Oh,
agency.
wow.
So from a team member standpoint, it's about 20 more team members. But from a revenue standpoint, it doubles our agency. And also, we were starting to look at as we grow, what are the things, we have a big chunk of things that we just send out the door. And so kind of bringing those core things in house so that we can really own organic, social, video, photography content, and that strategy, which we already have, but also all of the paid media and not just the social advertising. So that's what we just recently did. And I
Nice.
think that's the story. That's how, I have plenty more to share, but that's the gist of it in a nutshell, how I got to be here today.
Oh, love that. And I love your intentionality around thinking through it is you did what most entrepreneurs do. You didn't like your current situation, so you went and created something for you. Like you said, you created this lifestyle business because that was going to be more beneficial for you at the time. But then you did that shift where you're like, you know what? No. I'm going to be more intentional about what it is that I'm creating so that I have something. And man, what a shift. 2021, 2022, you go from one employee to 10, and then now you've just recently acquired a new company, doubled that. Man, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes I think I'm crazy, to be honest. And sometimes I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So it just depends on the day. I think as an entrepreneur, all day you go through like bouts of like, wow, this is awesome. Look at my team, da da da. And then you like have fear of like, well, what if?
right.
And that is just the day. And it happens all the emotions in one day, every day.
Yeah. Well, no, and you also brought that up, which is really good to point out too. And I hope that those who are listening in paid attention. Is at first you kind of feared that unknown as you were making that shift and taking that leap of faith to go and create something. And too often I think that we find ourselves in a position where we allow fear to drive our actions instead of saying, no, yes, this is new. Yes, this is the unknown. But until I take that action, I'm not going to know. And I love your intentionality around saying, no, I'm going to go do this thing. This is something that I want. And it took a couple of years. You started thinking about it in 2018 that, yeah, this is the direction I want to go. It took you a couple of years to get to that place where you were ready to go, and that's totally fine. And I hope people realize that too, is sometimes when we make these decisions, we have to let it kind of simmer for a minute, right? So that we're like, okay, now I'm ready to go and pull the trigger. It doesn't have to just be hey, I had this thought, I'm going to pull the trigger today, which sometimes also happens.
Yeah,
and
100%.
that's okay. And that's okay as well. But man, what a fantastic journey. And I love that it started when you were just a child selling fruit snacks that your mom bought you on the playground at recess. And then it's evolved into this, hey, you know what? I now live in and operate in this world of social media. I know that that's something that I excel at and I can perform. As you were working for those other agencies and you saw that that was the kind of the niche, so to speak, that you kind of lived in, and you're like, you know what, I can do this full time. I'm
Mhm.
going to do this thing, and then you've grown that and evolved that into your company today. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
You bet. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. What a fantastic story, and I hope everybody who listening in really paid attention, because you had a lot of golden nuggets there, some key moments where you had to make some shifts, right? Both some mindset shifts as well as some, hey, if I'm going to do this, this is what it's going to require, and this intentionality around. And now that I have a bigger team, hey, I'm not going to outsource as many things. I'm going to pull a few more things in house. And as we now have the capacity to do so,
Mhm.
which a lot of times when you're a small business, you don't have that luxury. And so you have to outsource, and that's totally fine. But now that you have that ability, excuse me, you have that bandwidth and that extra space to do that, you're thinking, okay, now I can start bringing these in house so that we can have full control over them. So that's fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears just a little bit. Rachel, as it pertains to you continuing to strive to be the leader that you want to be, and as you said, depends on the day. Some days I'm really excited about what I'm creating. Some days I'm really scared of what I'm creating. But as you continue to evolve and develop into this leader that you want to become, and as you're building and growing your team, what's some things that you're dealing with real time right now that we can have some back and forth conversation about?
Sure. With growth comes all kinds of growing pains, good
Yep.
and bad. So in this moment, we, as I mentioned, have acquired a paid ads agency that is virtual. Our team is in person, so that's very different. Now we work with clients that aren't in person necessarily,
Right.
but it's to kind of bringing together our teams and how we're going to work. And luckily we work on a lot of the same platforms, so Slack and Asana and what have you. So we don't need two versions of each of those. So it's
Right.
merging some of those things, but also how we use them is a little bit different. So it's just kind of, refiguring out and restructuring a team a little bit, which is different for both sides of how they
Right.
normally worked. And making sure that we still deliver a great product to the client and it's very seamless for them. And so that's the thing right now.
I get it. I get it. No,
Yeah.
and I love as you described that, how you pointed out the key things is ultimately though we have to remember the end goal is to make sure that we're still delivering for our customer and in a seamless way. So yes, we just acquired somebody and that's great and grand, but at the end of the day, customers not really concerned about the interworking dynamics of how that works out. They just want to be serviced. They came to you for a reason. They want those results, and so
Mhm.
finding a way to continue to deliver on that. I love that you had that intentionality. I just wanted the folks listening to key into that, because a lot of times, sometimes we get caught in the weeds of what we're doing day to day, and we forget about but we need to make sure that we stay focused on what the end results need to be, so that we can keep delivering on that. So fantastic that that's what you're thinking. Um, this idea or concept of, hey, I have this team that comes in house and we work in an office together. We're there, we see each other, we work together, and now we're bringing in this group that's used to working virtually, and we're going to try to integrate, and we're going to do kind of a hybrid version of, hey, we got to do virtual and in office. And how do we make sure that we continue to see that same energy that we see when we're working together, and still deliver in a seamless way to our customers on that? So a few thoughts that I have on that is, first, have you established a vision for your company?
Um, you know, Formally, no. We have core values that, luckily the agency we bought and the owners are still involved.
Oh,
And we
great.
have a very similar philosophy on like very much caring about our team. They were offered a lot more money from a private equity firm to just take them and probably fire their team and just take their clients.
Right.
And they didn't take it. They went with ours because they care about their team and the way, and they could tell that we did. And so I think that philosophy of like, I always said our team comes first, because if we put our team first, they're going to take care of our clients. We put our clients first and say the team comes second. You're always going to be chasing a wheel, and you're
Right.
going to lose people. And agencies are really known for churning and burning people.
Yep.
And I just don't think that that's the way it should be. So to answer your question, we have like very similar core values, and they never really had those. So we're shaping that of like, all right, if you look at it though, what you care about is the same thing that we care about. So we're adopting that as one. But a true vision that everybody, if you walk into the room, they know, no, it's probably in
Okay.
my book.
So one thing that we teach here at Elite is this idea or concept of vision being three parts. So when you look at vision and you think about it, the first thing is your purpose. Now, purpose is your why. Why do we do what we do? Why do I get out of bed each day and come to work, right? It's this 100-year idea or concept. I'm never actually going to achieve it, but each and every day I'm going to serve that purpose and I'm going to work towards that. Okay, so that's your purpose. Then you have your values, which it sounds like you've already established those, so that's fantastic. So integrating and making sure that everybody on the team, both virtually and in office, are all understanding what those core values are, because we look at values as, hey, that's who we are and how we show up. So regardless of who the customer is dealing with within our organization, they're getting the same results, right?
Mhm.
I can talk to Rachel or I can talk to so and so. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be treated the exact same way, because everybody in this organization, they show up the same way in every situation, right? So who you
Yep.
are and how you show up, that's your core values. And then the third component of vision is your mission. Now, mission is a destination. This is something you're actually going to achieve. So you're going to sit down and you're going to say, hey, in the next 3, 4, or 5 years, and you're going to get real clear on that timeline, and you're going to set an actual date. By this time, this day and time, we're going to accomplish this. Now, your mission is directly in line with your purpose, and it's something that you're going to go and you're actually going to achieve, right? So it's looking at that and saying, okay, what got us here isn't going to get us there, right? We built this organization. It's awesome. We have this machine. It's running. That's our daily operation. So when you look at what we call the elite business model, you have your vision up on top, right? That's this 30,000-foot view looking down at your company, understanding what's going on. And then you have this mountain. And down one side, that's your operational excellence. That is this machine that you've already built, and it's got to run day in and day out. We've got to serve those customers. That's what's the life force of our company, right? That's what's keeping us going. That has to continue to be maintained and be running, right? But then too often we forget about this other side of the mountain, which is the strategic long-term efforts of the company. What do we need to do to ensure that we're going to reach our mission? So if we're going to go after and we're going to reach this destination in the next 3 years, let's say, let's just choose a date. So let's say in 3 years, we're going to go after and we're going to do this thing. Okay. What strengths do we have currently today that we need to leverage? And what strengths do we need to go out and develop so that we can go and reach this destination? Because again, what got us to this point isn't necessarily going to get us to that next step where we want to go after and achieve. So as you're thinking through this and you have this vision up on top with your purpose, your values, and your mission, you now have this meaningful place to work where everybody is drawn in, and it's more than just a paycheck. It's now, hey, we're going to go after and accomplish something amazing. I'm now part of something bigger than myself. And so as a leader, you have three jobs basically. So in the elite leadership model that we have is we say, hey, as a leader, your job is to set the vision, build your team, and deliver results. And then at the center of all three of those things is this idea or concept of care. You got to care about the purpose, and you got to care about the individual. Now, as a leader, as you're setting this vision, you're constantly talking about your purpose, this driving force, this thing that ties us all together emotionally, right? This is what is going to cause your employees to want to give their discretionary effort, meaning that it's no longer going to be this clock in, clock out mentality. Now, I'm not saying that you have that right now, right?
Sure.
It sounds like you have a great team. But as you continue to build and you're now bringing in these virtual people, it's this emotional connection that will tie everybody in to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to let my team down because I'm serving something more important than myself. I'm serving this purpose. And we've got to reach this destination. We've got to go after and we've got to achieve this mission. And I'm super stoked about this and I'm excited and engaged and I want to do this, right? So by having this vision set, understanding that the day-to-day work has to continue to move forward and thinking, okay, how are we going to achieve so that we can make it to our mission? What do we need to change? What do we need to adapt? Right? That's how we're going to be able to tie everybody and bring everybody together. It's going to create clarity and alignment throughout the organization, regardless if they're virtual or in person, because now they understand, hey, we're going to go after and do this thing. The other thing that it does is it creates this next level filter on decision making. Because now everybody in the company, they just have to ask themselves two questions. Anytime that they're posed with a decision that they have to make, they say, first and foremost, does it serve our purpose? And if we do this, is this going to help us achieve our mission? Mm-hmm. And if they can answer yes to both those, okay, then this is a decision worth making, and we need to decide how we're going to move forward on this. But if they ask those questions and either one of them's a no, now you can powerfully and intentionally say, no, we're actually going to pass on this opportunity. Because when you first start a business, a lot of times you get stuck in this rut of saying yes to everybody and every opportunity. Because I got to make money. I got to bring people in. I got to build brand awareness. I got to build up my clientele, right? So you're saying yes to a lot of things. But now is the time to get real clear on whom do I serve, right? What's my ideal customer? And by serving them, does that make me in line with serving my purpose? And does that help me reach my destination? So now you have this powerful tool that you can use. Hey, serving our purpose and reaching our destination, that's top priority. Everything we do is based on that. So now that's what helps create that clarity and alignment. So everybody in the team has this driving force and they know where you're headed and they know what they're trying to accomplish, right? The next layer down would then be what we refer to here as big threes at Elite. A lot of people refer to them as KPIs. There's a lot of other acronyms that you can use, but basically understanding what are the three most critical things needed for the success of each role within the company. So no, when we think of big threes, we think of big threes tied to the position, not to the individual. And what you do is you say, okay, I need to make sure when deciding these big threes, number one, they need to be clearly stated so that there's no room for miscommunication. Clearly identifying and stating what it is that you need to accomplish, right? And then is it action based or is it results based? And then how does doing this align with reaching our mission? Now, what that does is that makes it so that every single person in your organization now knows what it looks like to win on a daily basis. They know, hey, as long as I'm hitting my big threes, I know I'm winning. And I know that I'm helping everybody else on this team because I know how what I do directly impacts our ability as a team to reach our mission. And that's how you then tie it all together. So you have this vision, you have this daily work you need to do, you've got to think this long-term strategic work, and now it's all tied together because now each and every employee within the organization knows exactly what it looks like to win and how what they do on a daily basis is directly impacting our ability as a team to continue to move forward and ensure that we reach this destination that we want to go after and accomplish together.
I love it.
So that's one way
Yeah.
that you can kind of mitigate this. I know that that's kind of a roundabout way of thinking, okay, I've got this office space where we come together and work, and we've now got these virtual people. But really, it comes down to the organization. If you set this foundational work of setting that vision and understanding there's two sides of work that need to be done, and then driving that by setting those big threes, it really does help create that clarity and alignment that we're looking for so that we can build that unity and continue to foster that culture that you've already taken so much time and energy to create and to ensure that it continues to move forward. And in fact, it's so awesome because as you continue to do those three things that you need to do as a leader, setting the vision, building the team, delivering results, you're constantly reminding everybody about your purpose and your values and this mission you're going to go accomplish. And that just cascades down naturally. You have to be bought in 100% as the leader. You have to. It has to truly be what your purpose is, truly be your core values that you live, not aspirational. And this mission has to be something that really is important for you to accomplish and this destination for you to reach. And if it is, your team will see that. And that will cascade down and everybody will be drawn into it. And then it also creates the byproduct of all of this work, creates this powerful magnet to attract future potential employees because they're going to take a look in and be like, oh, wow, these are my people. What do I got to do to work for you? I want to come. You guys are going to go after and do this really cool thing. And you're serving this really cool purpose. That I want to be part of this. And it's going to do the exact opposite thing because when you flip a magnet around, what does it do? It repels. So then now you're going to take these people that maybe had a really good skill set and their ability to perform the duties of the job that you're looking for might be totally in line, but man, they're just not a culture fit. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be friction that's going to cause between you and them the entire time. And it could cause all sorts of adverse byproducts of that, right? It could be this cancer that kind of grows within your company and it's going to cause problems. Well, now you have this powerful ability to avoid that from the very beginning. And then the last thing that I'll say here is your job, Rachel, is to be the gatekeeper to your company. You don't let anybody in your company that's not a culture fit. If they're not a core values fit, they're not bought into your purpose, and they don't get excited when you talk about your mission, you don't want them on your team. And you can now then very carefully make sure that each new person that you bring in along the way, you have this filter where you can be like, no, you either are a core values fit or you're not. And if you're not, no big deal. There's other places out there that are great for you. And it doesn't mean that you're not an amazing, awesome person that could do an amazing job in this role. It just means that this isn't the place for you. And you can find that out right at the beginning now because you already have established everything that you need for this foundational work to ensure that you're continuing to be able to move forward in an intentional way.
Awesome.
So anyway, sorry,
No,
I have
that
this.
sounds great. And I mean, I've had people that were not culture fits, and you can see it, and it is in more ways than you see it because it gets hidden from you as the leader for the most
Yeah,
part. You don't see that person. That person doesn't act like that to you, and then people don't want to say, don't want to all tell you, and then it starts seeping out.
yeah,
And they could be good at their job, but man, I mean, and when you get rid of that person, and I've done it, it is like a cancer. Like it's like when it's gone, it's like wow, you didn't realize like how bad it was, and then what's left to clean up after, like in our did it affect especially I think your younger teammates in a way that was negative because like that was supposed to be a leader or someone that they looked up to and
yeah,
so it took some like rebuilding after that just to get like a good feeling and vibe in the office again.
yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, hopefully some of that information that I shared with you is helpful. Hopefully it can help you
100%.
as you
Yeah.
navigate these waters.
No, for sure. And I think that those are usually the things people forget to do,
Yeah,
which
yeah, for sure.
I being one of them.
All of us, right? All of us do, and we get caught in that rut. It's so easy to be sucked down into doing the daily work that sometimes we forget that hey, there's $10 an hour work, there's $100 an hour work, there's
Mhm.
$1,000 an hour work, and there's $10,000 an hour work. What should I be spending my time on?
Yep.
And you know, fires happen, and we get sucked in, and we think, oh shoot, I got to go in and I got to save the day. And in reality, it's about building our teams and building trust and saying, I'm going to let them run with this. And you know what? They may crash and burn, but they're going to learn from that. And the next time they're going to do it even better. And I got to get to a point where I'm okay with that as a leader. And sometimes that's hard.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today on our podcast. What a fantastic story. What a great business that you've built and are continuing to build. I wish you the just most greatest success as you continue to navigate these waters of joining these two forces together to continue to create value in your space. For those who are listening in and like what they heard about Rachel and her company, Rachel, what's the best way that they could reach out to you?
You can email me at Rachel, Rachael, at mixandshine.com. And then we're also on Instagram at Mix and Shine Marketing and mixandshine.com. So you can reach me in all those ways. And I'm always available by phone. So all the apps. But John,
Fantastic.
thank you. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you having me, letting me share my story, and also the insight. It's always good, I think, to one of the biggest, best things I did was invest in, other people around me.
Right.
And that might be different people at different moments, and whether that's just asking for help or whether it's paying for somebody's expertise. I think it's really important. So I appreciate your insight.
You bet, and you're spot on, and I hope everybody who listened in we're paying attention to that. Just because you're the leader of your organization doesn't mean that you have to have all the answers and have to have all the skill sets necessary to be successful. It just means that you need to recognize where you're falling short on those and surround yourself with the people that can fill those gaps for you. So love that. Super, super important for people to remember that. Well, as always, if you heard something on today's episode and you're like, you know what, that makes sense, please put it into action, because it's not until we take action that we're going to start to see results. And if you heard something today, you're like, you know what, I know somebody that could benefit from this. Please share this podcast with them. Let's create as much value and spread it as far as we can. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure being able to share another entrepreneur's story here on the Seven Figure Journey podcast. Until next time, take care, everyone.